The short game is probably the most important area that any player can do, pro or amateur, to shoot lower scores. It's the area where you make your score. It's the area where you bail yourself out if you're playing poorly, or you help yourself make birdies, or maybe even sometimes eagles if you're playing well. It's probably the least practice area for the higher handicap player. The good players, low handicaps, professionals practice the short game all the time. I can honestly tell you in the year 2000, Tiger Woods had a phenomenal year. He probably spent 70% of his practice time in the short game from under 100 yards. And it showed up. His scoring average was the lowest the game's ever seen. He won 3 majors, and he did it with practice and technique. The other side of that, when you go to practice the short game, practice touch and feel as much as you do technique. But practice the short game, and it doesn't matter how you hit it. You improve your short game, you're going to shoot lower scores. The short game. The area of the golf game that you don't practice enough, and the area that if you did, you'd shoot lower scores. Hi, I'm Butch Harmon. And we're here at the beautiful Butch Harmon School of Golf on Grand Bahama Island at our Lucaya Beach and Golf Resort, a brand new facility that I know you're going to enjoy throughout this tape. Let's talk about the short game and the importance of it. Number one, if you think about it, about 65% of the shots you hit during the course of a round come from under 100 yards. But I guarantee you, you don't spend 65% of your practice time in this area. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about all the shots around here, the shots that will help you shoot lower scores. I guarantee you, if you improve your short game, your scores are going to come down. It doesn't matter how far you hit that drive. If you can't get it close when you miss the greens, you don't shoot low scores. So let's talk about what it takes to improve your short game. The first thing we need to discuss is what's in your bag. You have a lot of weapons in your arsenal that can help you shoot lower scores, and all of them aren't a driver that help you hit the ball longer. We have to talk about the tools that you're going to use in this area to help you improve your short game. Let's talk about a configuration in your golf bag. As you know, you can only use 14 clubs when you play a round of golf. So you have to decide what are the best 14 for you. I personally, in my bag, like to carry a utility wood, so I take out my 2-iron. I like to have 3 wedges. Let's talk about what I use. I use my pitching wedge. I have a 52-degree wedge for my gap wedge, and I use a 58-degree wedge for my lob wedge. What's important for you is to experiment in this area. Try different wedges. You can try a 60-degree, 62-degree, try a 54-degree wedge. I've found that these 3 wedges work best for my game. Through experimentation, you will find out what works best for your game. Well, I think Seve Ballesteros probably has the best touch and feel in his hands of any golfer I've ever seen. Tiger Woods and Greg Norman would come in a close second, but Ballesteros to me is an artist when he gets a wedge in his hand or a little club to pitch or something where he has to use his imagination or his creativity. It's just beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch the rhythm, the feel in his hands, the creativity that he has. It's like watching an artist paint a picture when you watch Seve practice in the short game area. And a lot of what I've taught Tiger Woods and that I teach people in our golf schools, I learned from Seve Ballesteros because I spent a year doing some work with him and I picked his brain as much as he picked mine, but he stands out more than anyone I've ever seen, especially around the greens. He's just phenomenal. But the important thing that you have to do is look at what someone does and then adapt your own way of doing it. Because once again, we're not that individual. We can't jump in their body and we don't have their touch and feel. What we can do is look at their mechanics, what they do with a club face angle especially, and then adapt our own way of doing it. In Tiger Woods' his case, for example, I've taught him a lot of what I learned from Seve and what I learned from Greg Norman because both of them have fabulous short games. And then he's adapted his own way of doing it, and that's important for the average player. They need to adapt their own little feel, their own little style, which will help them with their own touch. One of the great things we've done here at the Butch Harmon School of Golf at Arlucaya is we've created a great short game area. So when you practice, you can practice the shots you're going to have on the course. What we have here is about a 50-yard shot where we've got to carry the ball over a bunker and about a pin that's 30 feet on the green. Now this green is pretty firm, so it's a pretty difficult shot. Let's talk about how we're going to play this shot. I'm going to use my 58-degree sand wedge because I can get the ball in the air quite easily without trying to create some kind of motion to throw the ball up in the air. Because of the 58 degrees, I've got a chance to maybe stop this on the first or second bounce. This particular green is very firm, so we can't carry it all the way to the hole and stop it. So we're going to hit two shots for you. The first one I'm going to show you how to hit is just a basic pitch shot with your sand wedge. And the second one is going to be the high, soft lob shot. Let's talk about the basic pitch shot, the shot we're going to play right here. The first thing we want to do, use our wedge with the most loft on it. We're only trying to go 50 yards. Let's talk about the setup. I'm going to play this ball about the middle of my stance. My hands are going to be slightly ahead. For this shot, I'm not necessarily going to open the club any. I'm just going to set it down at its true loft. A couple of things you need to remember when making this golf swing. Number one, I don't want you to get in the habit of whipping this club around behind your back, coming too much from the inside, where you end up having to flip your hands over. This won't put any spin on the ball at all. So what we're going to do is create a motion where the club stays kind of outside of your body. We're not going to let this club head or club shaft get behind your body. Secondly, the through swing motion is not a lot of throw with the hands. Once we make our backswing, we're just taking our chest and our hips and we're turning through. The reason I want to do that is I don't want you to get in the habit of throwing your right hand at that shot. I want you to use the loft that's on the club. And finally, and this is important, in your follow through on this shot, I always want you to feel that the shaft is outside of your hands. I don't want to let you feel that you're flipping this club over, letting the toe of the club go over, which puts overspin on the shot. Let's hit one and see how we can do. Ball about the middle of our stance, club face pretty square. Just a basic pitch shot. I let the loft of the club do the work for me.
For your basic little pitch shot. Don't get handsy. Make sure the shaft is outside your hands on the follow-through and don't flip the club.
Now let's talk about a different kind of shot. Put this divot back here. Talk about the flop shot. A ball that you're trying to hit straight up in the air and make it come straight down and hit soft. What are we going to do different in this shot? Quite a few things really. We're going to start off with the grip pressure. I want you to take a real light grip on this club because we're going to put a lot more wrist action in this shot. We're going to make a long, lazy swing. I'm going to let the wrist cock a little sooner. I'm actually going to let this club head open a little on the backswing. And then I'm going to follow through with a nice, long, lazy action. The last thing we're going to do different is we're going to play this ball pretty much up towards our left foot so the club can slide under the ball. High, soft pitch shot. Set the club face down, ball up in the stance. Light grip pressure, early wrist cock. As you can see, that ball came down a lot softer and had a lot more spin. One, the normal little pitch shot from 50 yards. The other, the higher, softer shot. Practice both of them. You may choose which one you're going to use. Sometimes the situation will dictate. The green's a little firmer, you might have to throw it higher in the air, softer. The green's softer, you can play the lower one all the way back to the hole. Both of these shots will work for you. And remember, practice your short game. Because without a good short game, you'll never lower that handicap. Well, I played the tour from 1969 to 1971. I always jokingly say I did a wonderful thing for the PGA Tour in 71. I left it because I wasn't the most successful player in the world. What I had decided to do was give it 100% of effort and to see if I was good enough to play until my daughter Michael Ann was of school age. And then I had to make a decision. Did I want to continue on as a tour player, or did I want to go into teaching, which was really the thing that I loved to do? The BC Open in 1971 was the first time they held that tournament, which is now a full-fledged major tournament on the tour. At that time, it was what they called a satellite tournament. It was interesting because it's in upstate New York, in Endicott, New York. And even in this little town of Endicott in 1971, they had it on television. And they had all these people out there, and so it was kind of fun. I won in a playoff with 4 other players, which for me, it's listed in the PGA Tour book as a win. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a tour win because it was only a one-day event, but that's all it was in those days. And on that particular day, I beat everybody else that was there. I think that's what's really helped me teaching tour players, is because I have played the tour. I have played in major championships. I've been on that side of the ropes. I know what they go through mentally as well as physically. And I think that's given me an advantage when I teach tour players because I understand what they're going through. You know, this is a part of the game, especially the short game area, that the average person really dreads. The basic bunker shot around the green. And in reality, it's one of the easiest shots in golf. You don't have to hit the ball. You're hitting behind the ball, trying to throw the sand and the ball out of the bunker. And it's not that hard a shot. How many times on television have you heard an announcer say when a player was in trouble, if he can get the ball in the bunker, he'll be really satisfied? So let's talk about a basic bunker shot and why that's true. I think it's one of the easiest shots in the game. Where I grew up at Wingfoot Golf Club in New York, you had to be a good bunker player or you had a hard time finishing the round. Here in our short game area at Arlukaya, we've created a great situation where you can practice all kind of bunker shots. Right now we're going to talk about a basic bunker shot. And the first thing I have to tell you is why we use a sand wedge instead of a pitching wedge. The reason is simple. It's this flange or bounce on the bottom of the club. What that does is it lets the club bounce through the sand. If you used a pitching wedge without the bounce, it would end up digging in the sand and you'd have a hard time getting this ball out of the bunker. Let me show you what we're going to do differently here than we do in a normal swing, because there's a couple changes we have to make in this shot. First of all, we're going to play the ball very far forward in our stance. The reason we're going to play it forward in our stance is we're going to try and hit 2 to 3 inches behind this ball in the sand and throw the sand and the ball out of the bunker. To do that, we've got to create a couple things. We're going to open the club face before we grip the club. And this is important because if you grip the club and then open it, it's going to return to the way you gripped it. So I want you to take it in your lower hand and open the club face first. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to have our top hand be a little more on top of the club. In other words, your thumb running right down the shaft towards the head. This allows the lower hand to work under the top hand and let the club release out on the target line. That's right, release out on the target line. How many times have you read or seen people say that you want to cut across this shot to get the ball out of the bunker? Well, I don't like that method. I like to be swinging the club face out at the target so our ball comes out at our target, not out to the left with some kind of left to right spin. Let's talk about the technique. We're opening the club face before we grip it. That lets us utilize this bounce on the bottom. We're going to play the ball up in our stance so that we can hit 2 to 3 inches behind it. If I played the ball in the middle of my stance, the bottom of my arc would come way back by my back foot. I'd end up taking too much sand and might not get the ball out. So I'm going to take a little buried stance in the bunker, ball forward, club face open. Because I've opened the club face and it's aimed out to the right, I have to offset that by opening my stance. So my stance is left of the target line, club face pretty much on the target line. Ball's up in my stance. What we're going to do differently here than a normal swing is we've got to get this club up at a steeper angle on the backswing. If we take this club back like a normal shot, low to the ground, most of the time you're going to hit too far behind it, Club's going to come out of the sand, blade the ball across the green. So we want to create a steeper angle so that we can have a steepness on the downswing that lets us hit into the sand and lets us follow through. And that's the other key. We want to follow through on this shot. We want to try and throw the sand and the ball out of the bunker. Last two things I'm going to tell you is I'd like to see you stand a little further away on this shot than you would on your basic pitch shot. The reason being is I want you to have some room to swing for me because I'm right-handed, that right hand, that right arm, that club face out at the target. And lastly, I want you to visualize Ernie Els or Freddie Couples' motion. I want a nice, long, lazy swing. No fast, choppy motions. All right, club face open, ball up in our stance. We're going to make a swing that gets the club up a little steeper and follow through. If you'll use this method, you'll see you'll throw the ball out of the sand quite easily.
When you're in the bunker, remember create a steep angle with your backswing so you can have a steep downswing. Follow through and throw the sand onto the green.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a very right-handed shot. You can actually come in the bunker and practice with just your right hand hitting bunker shots. You'll get the feeling of releasing this club out on your target line. The last thing I want to tell you, and this varies with just about every trap shot you play at different courses. There are different textures of sand. Some hard, some very fluffy. The rule of thumb, the firmer the sand is in the bunker, the faster the ball comes out. The more sand and the fluffier type you have lie in the bunker, you have to swing harder. So let's go through this again. Ball up in my stance, club face open, just a nice, lazy motion, throwing the sand and the ball out towards your target. Remember, try these basic fundamentals in the bunker. Next time you get in here, it'll be your friend and not your enemy. I think having a great eye, meaning having the ability to see something in a golf swing is something that you're probably born with, and then you train it. Through all your teaching, it gets better and better. I know now when I look at a golf swing, it's like a computer. I see like 50 things at once. I see your grip, your posture, your stance, your ball position, the plane of your arms, where the club face goes, positions, and it's all just natural. I just see it, and then things jump out at you. I think the more you teach, the better you get at it. To give you the feeling of the steepness of the backswing, you can practice like this. You can stick a club in the ground and just lay the rake on it. What this does is give you the feeling of getting this club up at this steep angle. Use this little practice drill in this practice station. It'll help your bunker game. Let's talk about a basic little chip or pitch shot. For example, say you've missed the green, 10, 12 feet off the green. We've got a 30, 35 foot little chip or pitch. A shot you'll probably play 4 or 5 times during the course of a round. A basic little chip or pitch shot. Let's talk about the loft on the club that you'll choose to play this shot, ball position, hand position, and how to execute it. First of all, you can either play this shot with a glove or without a glove. I actually choose to play them with my glove on. Some people like to take the glove off because it gives them a little more feel. The important thing when you're playing these little shots in your club selection is to take just enough loft to get the ball over the grass in front of you and get it onto the green so it can roll to the hole like a putt. Because I've got about 10 or 12 feet of green, I've chosen a 9-iron. You could play it with a pitching wedge if you'd like. I like the 9-iron because I know I can carry the grass in front of me. The ball's going to land with very little spin. It's going to release right to the hole and roll like a putt. In all honesty, if you'll practice your short game, this particular shot, you'll actually have a mindset that you can chip it in. It's not a difficult shot. Let's go through the process of how we're going to play the shot. We've picked the club with enough loft to get the ball over the grass in front of us and onto the green. Now we're going to talk about how we're going to execute this shot. First thing I'm going to talk to you about is ball position. We're going to play this ball fairly back in our stance, back towards our right foot. The reason we do that is so that we can make nice solid contact club and ball. We don't want to hit the ground in front, either stick the club in the ground or have it bounce into the ball. We don't want to play the ball so far forward in our stance that we tend to scoop the shot and let our right hand pass under our left hand. So our ball position is going to be fairly back in the stance. Our stance is going to be just a little open so that we can set the club face right on our target line. This particular shot is pretty straightforward. Breaks just a little from right to left, and you have to take that into consideration when you're playing the shot. You want to look at the lay of the land and get some idea of the break when the ball gets on the green. So I'm going to play this ball back in my stance. My stance is a little bit open. My club face is right on my target line. That's important. Don't come up here and put your body on your target line and then set the club down. Set your club face on your target line, build your stance around that. Build a comfortable stance. There isn't any rule of how wide apart my feet should be. I want you to be comfortable. You're not going to have feel on these little chip or pitch shots if you're not comfortable. All right, we've got my club face on my target line. My ball's back in my stance a little bit open. Because the ball's back in my stance, this shaft angle is going to be more on the left side or hands in front. If I let go of this club, it should rest right on the crease on the pants of my left leg. Most of my weight is going to stay on my front foot, on my left foot because I'm right-handed. There isn't a big enough swing to require any weight transfer, and that's important. Get your weight on your front foot. Your hands are in front. What we're going to do is make a nice motion, and the key here is to let both hands carry on together. Don't feel like you're going to hit and stop. We're going to let both hands carry on together. The easiest way I can explain this to you, if my grip was right down here by the head of the golf club, by letting both hands carry on together, you can see this club face stays perfectly square to the angle that I've picked or the line that I've picked to hit this ball on. The other thing I want to tell you in this stroke is I don't want you to stand so rigid in your legs that all you do is let your hands and arms move. This won't give you any feel. I want you to feel a little play in your back leg, for me in my right knee. So as I come through, there's just a little motion of a leg action, just as if I was trying to stand here and throw this ball towards the hole. Let me hit a couple shots for you and show you this technique. Club face on my target line, ball back in the stance, stance a little open, weight forward, hands ahead, make a nice smooth motion, let the ball roll to the hole. When you're practicing this shot, I want you to get in the habit of hitting the shot from different length swings to get your feel factor. Each and every one of you will have a different feel on these pitch shots. You have to adapt a little bit of your own motion to this shot. You have to get the feeling of how far back do I let the club go on the backswing and how far through do I let it go to get the feeling of the shot I'm trying to play. This is a basic chip shot. You should have a chance of actually making this shot if you'll practice it. Let's go through this one more time. Club face on my target line, ball back in the stance, stance open. Weight forward, hands ahead, little play in the right knee, roll the ball down to the hole.
When playing a short chip shot, be sure to choose just enough loft to get the ball over the longer grass in front of you
this same shot. What's important is for you to understand that there are little different ways to play this shot. I'm going to talk about another little shot that you can play, basic chip shot, that the great teacher Paul Runyon taught a lot of players way back a long time ago. He played these shots more with a shaft angle that was vertical, straight up and down like that, with a club more on the toe. He actually taught that you could use your putter grip, which you can use on all of these little chip shots. The difference in this shot is there wasn't a lot of wrist cock. It was just more of a rocking of the elbows. It's a different way of playing it, but I want to explain it to you because I think it will help you for those of you who like to try different kind of shots. What we're going to do different here is we're going to stand a lot closer to the ball. The toe of the club is going to rest on the ground. Hands are going to be pretty straight up and down, and we can use our putter grip. As you can see, there's not a lot of wrist action in this. It's more of just a back and through stroke. It's not a shot that I use a lot, but I think it's a shot you should practice. Shaft angle, straighter up and down, weight on the left side. I've had the balls cleared off from that first hole. Now we're going to go to a little longer shot. We've got about a 60-foot chip shot. What I've got to do different here is I've got to get this ball on the ground so it will run back to the hole. The thing that I see all the time that the average player does is they tend to take and play a sand wedge and carry it halfway to the hole, and they don't know if it's going to stop or it's going to release. I'm going to play this shot with a 5-iron. The reason I'm going to use a 5-iron is I can get this ball on the ground at a trajectory that lets it run back to the hole. Let's show you what we're going to do. Our technique is going to be very similar to the last shot we played. I'm going to aim the club face first, and the thing that I have to realize in doing that this is about a 60-65 foot shot. It goes up a hill a little and has just a little left to right break. So I have to take that into consideration with my aim. Club face on my target line, just like the last shot, ball back in my stance, hands ahead, weight pretty much on the left side. Because I'm using a 5-iron, it doesn't have a lot of loft. This ball is going to get back there very fast. This is where your feel and touch comes in. Through practice, you'll learn how long a stroke to make and how hard to hit it. Let's show you how you play this shot. A 5-iron to get it running back to the hole. Ball back in my stance, club face on my target line, get comfortable. My weight is forward. Get the ball on the ground, get it running to the hole. This is a shot that you'll have a lot of times during the normal course of a round. Don't use your sand wedge. Experiment with 4- and 5-iron and 6-irons. You don't have to use the club that I used. I want you to experiment for your own feel. I chose a 5-iron because I thought I could get the best results with it. You may like to use a 4 or a 6. Remember our goal. Use the amount of loft to get the ball on the ground, to get it running to the hole like a putt. Let me hit one more for you. The long little chip shot. Club face on my target line, ball back in my stance, hands forward, go on through. As you can see, that ball's rolling just as if I putted it. The long chip shot. You may think it's a difficult shot. Come to your short game area at your club like we are here at the Butch Harmon School of Golf. Practice it. Use this technique. You're going to hit good shots. We say it all the time. A better short game, you have more fun when you play. I've been a golf professional for 36 years. It's what I love to do. I love to teach golf, and it doesn't matter to me whether I'm teaching Tiger Woods or a tour player or a beginner or a 15 handicap. It's just the joy of teaching. It's the joy of seeing your students succeed, seeing them improve, seeing them get better, and seeing them have fun. And let's face it, the reason we play golf is to have a good time. And the one thing that I've tried to do, and I learned this from my dad, and my brothers and I have carried this on in our teaching, is we try and create an atmosphere of fun. If you're having fun, you'll learn better. If you learn better, you're going to have more fun when you play, and I think it's a good combination. Here's an interesting scenario. Say your ball rolls through the green, back up against the fringe. You've got a shot that's not far off the green to go to this flag, but you've backed up into this high grass around the green. Let me show you the shot I showed Tiger Woods, the 3-wood. That's right, the 3-wood chip. Why is this a good shot? The lie dictates this situation. My ball's rolled up into this Bermuda grass and I couldn't get my putter on this. If I hit a wedge, I'd have to pick it straight up and drop it down on the ball. My 3-wood has 13 degrees aloft on it. The reason it works good, it's got a nice round sole that sits in behind the ball. There's nothing there to hang up when it comes through the grass. It slides through the grass. The loft of the club gets the ball just up in the air a little bit, lets it roll like a putt. The 3-wood chip, let me show it to you. We're going to have to stand a little closer to the ball, which means we're going to have to be straighter up and down, spine angle wise, because of the length of the shaft. I'm going to use my putter grip and I'm going to play the ball fairly back in my stance, my hands just a little ahead. Weight on my left side, stroke back, and stroke through. Let me have it. Hey, the 3-wood chip. It works for Tiger Woods. It works for me. Try it. I know it'll work for you. When we think about our golf swings, it doesn't matter whether you're Tiger Woods or you're the average player, you're always trying to improve yourself. One of the things that's amazing that Tiger Woods done is he blew the world away in 1997 when he won the Masters by a record number of strokes and then decided to change his golf swing. He decided to change his golf swing for longevity and the fact that he knew he needed to swing better to play better for the rest of his career. The same thing happens to those of us who just play golf for recreation and for fun. You can improve your mechanics and improve the way you swing a golf club, the way you hit short game shots, which makes you a better player. Well, we finally got to the putting green. Probably the most individual part of golf there is, because there is no one set way to putt. You've seen many different stances and grips, length of putters, all different kind of ways to putt. And through your experimentation, you're going to find out what works best for you. There are some basic fundamentals we have to follow, and I want to go through those things with you. The first thing is grip pressure. Most people, I think, hold the putter grip too tight. We've talked a lot about touch and feel. Well, with tight grip pressure, you don't have that good feel. The other thing I want you to know is you've got to feel the head of this putter swinging. So many people I see come up here and they putt so stiff-wristed, back and forth like this, it's like they're trying to hit the ball with the handle. We've got to hit the ball with the head of this club. This is a mini swing. So you've got to feel the weight of the putter swinging back and forth. And finally, what I want you to know is there is no set stance. You can stand any way you feel comfortable. And that's the most important thing. You've got to be comfortable to have good feel and good touch. Having said that, let's talk about some of the basic fundamentals that no matter what grip you use, as far as normal, cross-handed, or split grip, you'll follow on every putt. The first thing I want you to get in the habit of doing is don't take your stance and then put your putter behind the ball. I want you to always aim your putter first, then build a stance that you feel comfortable with. Remember, you've got to be comfortable to putt good. A couple basic fundamentals after you've built this stance, aiming your putter, getting comfortable, check your eye line just by raising your club up. Your eyes should be either right over the ball or just a little inside of the ball. You never want your eye line out over the other side of the ball. We've talked about the light grip pressure. Now let's talk about a stroke. What you want to have is a rhythmic motion, back and through, back and through. The length of the stroke varies with you as an individual, and you only know from practice for your feel whether you need a longer, slower stroke or a shorter stroke that has a little more speed in it. But we want a nice rhythm, back and through. All right, let's hit a putt here. We aim our putter blade. This particular putt's pretty straight. Build a stance I feel comfortable with. Got my eyes pretty much right over the ball. I'm going to keep my head still and stroke back and through. Now that particular putt I didn't hit hard enough, and that's why it didn't go in. When you're practicing, I want you to practice the speed of your stroke as well as the mechanics. I want you to get in the habit of hitting these putts and feeling the putter blade hit right through the ball. The last thing I want to tell you, especially on these short putts, is that you miss most of these little 4, 5, 6 footers because of head movement. If you keep your head still and you've picked the right line, you've pretty much got a good chance to make your short putts. If you get a head movement like I did there, just to show you an example, in other words, my eyes were following that putter blade as it went through, you're not going to make these putts. So let's try and stay still over these putts. Let's aim our putter. Let's get comfortable, stay still, and stroke through. Basic fundamentals for a normal putt. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a longer putt. I've got about a 40-foot putt here. Now we have a few different things that come into play. The most important thing on a long putt that I want you to realize is the pace that the ball rolls down there. If you hit the ball the right distance every time, you're pretty much going to hit a good putt. So many people get wrapped up in line on their long putts, they forget about the pace of the putt. I've got about a 50-foot putt here. I've got Wayne holding the flag down there because remember, when you putt and your ball's on the green, you can't putt at the flag because if you hit it, it's a penalty. What I have to do in looking at this putt is I have to get a feel for how hard to hit this. The way I do this is when I make a practice stroke, I like to look at the hole, get a feeling for how hard I'm going to hit this putt. The routine, the setup, is just the same as we did on this little 6-footer. I've got to aim my putter blade on the line. This breaks a little left to right. I've got to get comfortable, stay still, and follow through. There's a great example of not having the proper line, but I hit the ball the proper distance, and I've only got about a 2.5-foot putt. Don't get wrapped up in the line. Remember, if I hit this putt the right distance, I've got a good chance to 2-putt. Putting. Basic fundamentals. Light grip pressure. Build a stance that you feel comfortable with. Eyes over the ball. From there, it's all your feel and your touch. And remember, don't grip that putter too tight. Nice light grip pressure. Use these fundamentals. Adapt it to your stroke. You're going to make more putts. Hey, guess what? If you're making putts, you're shooting lower scores. You know, we've had great experiences at all levels of golf. We've taken young guys and made them into good players. A perfect example is young Adam Scott, an Australian player, 20 years old, who just recently won on the European Tour, the first event of the year. Adam came to me about 1.5 years ago as a sophomore at UNLV. He was a pretty good player, had a swing that looked like Tiger Woods. 1.5 years later, he's winning on the European Tour. We have people that come to our golf schools that are 18 handicaps, and they've never shot anything but high 90s and mid 80s, and they'll call us on the phone and they'll say, hey, I shot 78 today. It's so great. We really appreciate all your help. And I think the other thing that you enjoy so much as a student is the fact that you do improve. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, is everyone going to get better every time they take a lesson? Not necessarily. And the other thing you have to realize is that change is difficult. It takes time. When you make changes in your golf swing, especially someone who's played golf a long time, you're making a mechanical change and a mental change, and it takes a period of time for it to kick in. I think some of the things that I enjoy the most are the letters and the phone messages I get from the real higher handicaps that will say, hey, I got it. I finally did this. I finally did that. And then again, that's the joy of teaching, whether it's teaching golf, whether it's teaching history or religion or science or anything. The joy of teaching is seeing your students improve and hearing the joy in their voice when they do. I know I've given you a lot of information here on a lot of different shots in the short game. If you will practice what we talked about, I know you're going to shoot lower scores because your short game's going to improve. So let's go back in a little bit of a recap and let's talk about some of the things you can do when you're in your backyard or even in your living room watching this tape that'll help you get the feel for the things that I've just taken you through. We talked a lot about ball position for the various shots, whether we move it up or back in our stance. We talked about weight distribution. Some of the shots more weight on the right foot, some of the shots a little more weight on the back foot. We talked about shaft angle, and this is important. We talked about on the little pitch shots and chip shots around the green to keep the shaft on line with the crease in your pants on your left leg, which in turn keeps your hands ahead. We talked about letting both hands go through together. We talked about in bunker shots, playing the ball up in our stance. Even without a ball, you can get the habit of letting your club hang where your ball position would be right off your left toe. Talked about hitting a flop shot, grip pressure. A lot looser or lighter grip pressure when you hit the flop shot. You can fool around right there in your living room where you're watching this tape with a club in your hand with a little looser grip pressure or lighter grip pressure and just make little motions. This will give you the feeling and the sensation in your hands that you need when you practice these shots. The important thing through all of this is take from this session what works best for you. You may not need everything we talked about. You may need only one or two of the shots or one or two of the things that I've described here. Take what works for you and experiment. The other thing I want you to know, when you're sitting around in your backyard while you're barbecuing, you've got a wedge in your hand, kind of fool around with little different experiments of how to take the club back. You can let the club face open, swing through. You can let the club face closed and swing through. What this does, it gives you a little feeling for the various type of shots we're talking about. I showed you how to get different trajectories, different lofts on the shots by how you took the club back. All of these things you can do just fooling around, getting a little feel. We talked about feel and touch. Probably the most important thing, even more so than your technique sometime. You could have the most important technique without nice feel and nice touch, you're not going to be consistent. I know if you'll practice the things we showed you here in this tape, I know your short game's going to improve. And guess what? When your short game improves, you're going to shoot lower scores. And those guys you've been paying in those Nassaus, they're going to pay you. Hope you enjoyed it. Practice it, put it to use. You're going to shoot lower scores.
In 2001, a Butch Harmon School of Golf opened here at Arlucaya, one of only two in the entire world. Like Butch's original school, this one in Las Vegas, it's an incredible place to tune up your game. And with Butch and his trained instructors looking over your shoulders, your scores can't help but go down. You've got to check this out.